suicide rates for women and men.
Mm.
So men are 1.8 times as likely to commit suicide as women. So for every 180 men who commit suicide, 100 women commit suicide. So it's
Mm-hmm.
almost like 200, 2:1. So
Mm.
uh, I believe there's a lot of stigma and this thing around whether like men and their mental health, because I mean this also goes into like traditional
Mm-hmm.
gender roles and the way men are like brought up. Like I was
Yeah.
brought up by hearing, no, boys don't cry.
Exactly. I was
And
going to say the same thing,
yeah,
that boys don't cry, boys don't feel gloomy. You be a man and, get charge of your life
yeah,
and stuff like that. That is exactly, I remember in one of the shows on TV, I had seen that, it's okay for a boy when he is, 3-year-old or 4-year-old, when he falls down or when he's playing and he's hurt, it's okay for the child to cry. It's so good. But after that, since you are a boy, and of course in society turns you into a completely different, as if nothing can happen to a man and nothing can happen to a boy. And that's, I think, a pressure from the
yeah,
society, which I think you have gone through
yeah.
also. Yeah,
I've
but
been through.
point here is, girls or women, to be very honest, have a lot of adjusting capacity. I mean, as a woman, I will definitely say that, because there are lots of areas where the ingredients that the woman is made of is different,
Yeah,
because there's a lot of nurturing, there is a lot of compassion, there is a lot of giving back to the family and the society per se. Somewhere, when a man and woman, literally, I mean, it is duty bound kind
yeah,
of. So somewhere God has told that the man, he goes out and gets money, and roti kapda makan is what he is responsible
yeah,
for, and what happens inside the house is what the woman is responsible for. So your friends, you're taking care of the cooking, taking care of this. So all the feminists who are listening to me, I think this is not something where I'm categorizing, but the point is that is where we are.
it's like that is the way
Particularly my,
society. Yeah,
yeah, particularly till my generation. I think
yeah,
your generation will be thinking completely different,
yeah,
but till my generation it was like that, and I think it will take some time for all these shifts to happen. But that's the reason probably the suicidal tendencies are a little bit less. But then what happens is they are as much as committed a suicide living, as much
okay,
as other than just left this earth.
yeah,
It literally happens, because I have so many cases where women, they are stuck
yeah,
in a situation because they can't go anywhere. They have a family to look after, there are responsibilities, and they have been ingrained into the woman so much that you have to do this, you have to do that. How come you are not able to do
yeah,
this, kind of. So all that is, there is a voice inside a woman always speaking. So it can be the mother, it can be the elder sister, it can be a mother-in-law, anybody, they continuously, or the any other authority figure. That is how it goes on, because that's the voice which keeps on keeps the woman going. And for the men, it becomes a little bit different, because they operate out of a more logical
yeah,
brain, we can say. And they think whether right or wrong, and at one point in time, the adjusting capacity to a very large extent is a little bit on the lower side than the women, if I'm
yeah. No,
you know I
this is
can
all about
say.
opinions.
It's,
Yeah,
yeah, it's, these are opinions. But for whatever reason, how many ever people have been coming to me, so almost 600 plus clients I
So,
have been dealing with.
what is the gender-wise breakup of your clients? What is
uh,
the trend you've noticed?
Majority of them are women,
Yeah,
more women, adolescent girls, boys, both. I mean, I will say that in the young generation, like right now in the age group of 20 to 30, there are more boys also. It can be equal,
yeah,
equal boys and girls. But generally going beyond 30 or beyond 40, I think there are very less men who, actually come out and say
yeah,
that, I need. Men will come out. So it will be like a marriage counseling situation where, husband and wife come in, and husband says, okay, do whatever needs to be done to my wife. She's going mad.
yeah,
That kind of. So they will come with the wife to say that the wife is going mad.
yeah,
So the way they are speaking, it generally happens that both of them need a little bit of counseling, a little bit of, looking at each other and dealing with the situation.
Yeah, it's just like patriarchy and
Yeah.
uh,
But what happens is, in that case, it is that the person is literally looking on the other side and the wife is looking on the other side. They're not, the problems can be solved when you are looking in the same direction together.
yeah,
Otherwise, it becomes different perspectives.
yeah.
Totally.
From the point of view of a therapist or a counselor, and like whatever many roles you do,
Yeah.
as how many of your how many in your peer group, how many of your colleagues are like women, and how many of psychiatrists or therapies are women, and how many are psychiatrists are men? Like, what's the general trend?
Percentage, I will say, on the scale of 1 to 10, let's say, if I say around 8 are therapist or psychiatrist, hardly 2%. So if you can say 80% is what they're women.
Yeah,
More women, even in my colleagues, whoever have done hypnotherapy with me, past life regression, or trainers also, for that matter. I mean, surprisingly, trainers also, there are many women,
yeah,
women trainers. And so for me, I have enjoyed the journey. Also, I'm getting on with my in-laws, then my friends, and then my husband's friends and everybody. So I'm a good host, I'm a good wife. So she actually, a woman in India, I can definitely say, strives to get that recognition
yeah,
from the opposite gender so much that she actually forgets her identity.
yeah,
And that's the reason, when her identity is something where she starts being aware of, she starts understanding that she's not a doormat. She starts having these up and downs, and she has these mental issues, if the husband is calling that.
yeah,
But she starts feeling that unrest inside her.
yeah,
And that creates a lot of toxicity within her. And naturally, she, gives it out.
yeah,
So that is where the lady or the girl or whoever comes to me, and so everything goes back to the upbringing. Also, I would say that from the age of, let's say 0 to 8, what happens is the upbringing of a child is very, very important, because that phase is where the child sees, hears, and feels whatever people around him or her are doing. And that is where the association starts, that is where the learning starts.
yeah,
And then later on, by the time the boy is, let's say, 18 years old, or the girl is 13, 14-year-old, and then they have their shifts, they have their changes, their hormonal changes and all that. And then after that, what happens is they are actually putting whatever they have learned into practice.
yeah.
So that becomes their behavior.
Yeah, so I think like this is an important step in like child psychology.
Absolutely.
And 0 to 8 is the age when people, boys and girls both, shouldn't really have gender specific
No.
labels attached to the things that they
shouldn't.
like.
They shouldn't.
And also, like when you brought up the point of men not really expressing their emotions, or
Yeah.
they are not comfortable letting people know of like what they're feeling. And I believe like men put up a facade, and they they
Thanks for
probably, like,
saying that.
yeah. And it's, I mean, like, it's funny because they try to project their image as
Yeah.
something. And why is that? Because they have learned from childhood that, okay, boys don't cry, you have to fit in these gender roles, you have to like provide for your family. When all of these responsibilities are there on men, like they bury their emotions and they wear a mask, like, oh, okay, I'm all good.
Yeah.
And on the women's side, I think that also happens, but as you said, there's a lot of work that a woman does at home, like raising children and all of this. And she's more okay of talking about all of these to her friends.
Correct.
A guy friend, I'll just tell about my example. So
Yeah.
a guy friend asking another guy like, how's your mental health? And
Yeah.
it's very rare. Like I haven't
very rare. No,
really
it's
noticed
very
it.
rare.
Like,
Yeah.
like male, like real bonding doesn't really happen in men.
Yeah.
In friends, like in friendships between two pairs, people like call it like toxic masculinity and
Yeah.
patriarchy and whatever.
Mhm.
And like most of these issues can be quickly resolved is we break down gender roles right from childhood.
Yeah, yeah.
Because like even
should.
my other psychiatrist had told me that
Yeah.
or like childhood is when the child learns everything, and that
Yeah.
is when they inculcate that idea, and then like that is they stick with it. So
Yeah.
I'll tell you about my own case.
Yeah.
Up till the age of 18, 19, I didn't know like what vulnerability is, what emotions are, like how do you express them, how do you be free.
Yeah.
I was in that box of, oh, typical male 18-year-old. But I learned over time, and anyone can do that because there's so much stuff online these days, and people are more accepting of others.
Online, and also we have people around us, Tanay. We really need to keep our ears and eyes open, and we really need to use what a beautiful organ that we have in our head, which is a brain. Because otherwise it becomes I mean, because that person is doing it, I'm also doing it, but his circumstances are different and my circumstances are different.
Yeah.
So when you're talking about friends, I would like to bring about an important fact that it is very important for you to have a good accomplice or an ally, wherein if you are going through something, there needs to be, whether it be a boy or a girl or whatever, so since I'm talking about you, you need another friend, a boy who will understand you because of the gender.
Yeah.
Okay, that is important.
Yeah.
Or if it was a girl client, a lady, a woman, whatever, they need someone who can understand, but that is up to a limit.
Yeah.
Because what happens is you need to, so that they will hold your back, kind of, they are there, to support you, provided they are not being judgmental.
Yeah.
That is very, very important, because what happens is there's slight difference. I mean, for the audience, there is difference between sympathy and empathy. That's why there are two different words. What happens with friends and family, it becomes a sympathetic, complete turmoil, up and down. Oh my God, oh, you're suffering through this. Oh my God, mera bacha, mera ye, mera wo. I mean, why do you have to go through this? You can definitely, come out of this. You are a man, grow up,
Yeah.
take your responsibilities, and so on and so on and
This
so
is the
forth.
regular
That's the
patriarchal
regular,
and toxic masculinity
And for a
stuff.
girl, no, you need to understand this. What will happen when you are, you're older and now you'll get married and go into another house? I mean, how can you carry all these kind of idiotic things in your mind? No, you shouldn't be doing that. You need to be able to overcome that. You have the capacity. You need to do this. All this kind of talk, you need someone who can understand you without you explaining in too many words.
Yeah, so I'm just going to cut to like my own personal experience, because it's really hard for me as a man to tell another man that I am like suicidal, for example. But I can only laugh at this because I'm no longer suicidal, and this is not something that is very funny in general,
No, it
because
is
that was a
not.
bad time. So please ignore the laughter.
Yeah.
Now, my point is, it's very hard for a male to open up to another male.
True.
And once they do that, they have a very tight, at least in my case it was, like once I learned to be vulnerable to men, women, everyone, like, oh, this is my story. Then acceptance comes to you. Like you accept yourself, and
Yes.
people start
You
to,
have said it.
Yeah, people start to like empathize with you.
Yeah.
Because they don't really know what was happening with you. But then you explain to them, and then they can make sense of it.
They can. Yeah. And that is the most important thing, that they need to empathize with you rather than sympathize, because you do not need and also another point, there is a lot of compassion which needs to be there.
Oh yeah, definitely.
Understanding is not only, okay, understanding is you go on Google and you put in a word therapy and you will read everything about it, and you'll go to Wikipedia or whatever.
Yeah.
That is only reading. That is getting all the information. But what is understanding? Because still today, therapy is, people only understand physiotherapy.
Yeah.
Because that is what is used more often by people, because that is a physical thing.
Yeah.
When it comes to mental thing, the mental word in itself, carries that taboo.
Yeah. So I think the book, the Arjun Gupta, I think
Yeah.
instead of saying mental health, he reframed it as mental fitness.
Yeah.
When you use the
Correct.
word mental fitness, people are like way more into it, because oh, this is not something about my health. It is like people then associate like physical fitness and mental fitness. This is like my brain being the sharpest brain I can.
Correct.
Like,
It's
everything.
literally like going and sitting on the other side of the table.
Yeah.
That, oh, okay, it's fitness.
Yeah.
It's not illness, you
Yeah.
know. Yeah. But
Also, like there shouldn't be a thing as mental health.
no.
It's just one thing called health that includes your physical health, your emotional health and your psychological health, and like all of the other things that
I
come with.
think people need to just be aware of all kind of, what kind of health,
Yeah.
you have, and basically understand what is happening to you at any given point in
Yeah.
time. Somewhere you are, there is some kind of unrest, somewhere you are getting irritated, somewhere you are angry. I think the awareness, that's why many a times I feel that the students, like I'm just shifting from this topic to a school or a college where the children are, let's say we are talking about the early ages. Many a times it happens because I used to be a counselor in a school and I saw these things that
Yeah.
you're talking about, and children face such problems. And then when I was asking them that, don't you have your mother? Can't you say this to your mother?
Yeah.
And then they said, no, my mother is working, so she's not there, she doesn't understand, that kind of stuff. But so what happened once was I actually asked the school principal to have a counseling session. So like a parenting session for
Yeah.
during the PTA or whatever. And so I said, I want to talk to the parents, because it is one thing about talking to the children. It is one thing talking to teachers.
Yeah.
But it is a completely different shift when, you have to take
Your
talk
home,
to
like,
parents.
the child needs to feel at home and he needs to feel safe with parents.
Because there used to be a situation where the teacher was understanding the child very well. I used to understand what is happening with the child, but where the child is living, parents were not able to understand what the problem is. They were, so typically blame game goes on, like, they need, they don't teach well in school, they do this, they do that. But then how much of quality time? Really, the parents do not understand what quality time is all about. It is not about when you have time, you give your children the time. It is when the children want the time, that's where you make time to be with them. That's a big shift. But many of the parents, unfortunately, did not understand. I mean, to be very honest, at one stage in my life, I took a very big decision and shifted from my previous business. I just closed it down because my daughter was very young and I felt that she needed me at that point in time. So, I mean, I'm talking from my self experience as well. Yeah.